Will, talk to me.
ABC Tuesday.
They took his daughter. She's coming home alive.
Will Trent, the series critics are calling powerful must-see TV, continues to thrill.
Shouldn't we strategize before we go in there?
If we screw up this case, a cop killer walks free.
With the riveting conclusion to a 2-part season premiere.
GBI!
Help me!
Get down!
Will Trent, all new Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Guys, what's up? Welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and hey, just continuing this marathon of awesome people that I know, and today is going to be no different. Getting to sit down with a buddy that I've had for quite some time, and it's like, you know, how we connected is just one of those, you know, serendipitous things, but we stay connected. And very talented, like I said, very talented people I know, very amazing humans and hearts that I'm grateful to know and have have an exchange with to some capacity. And today is no different. I'm very excited for this one. And if you like the podcast, head on over to iTunes, subscribe, comment, like, anything goes in the best way possible. And if you want to support the podcast, head on over to Patreon/BirdBrainPodcast. You can become a patron. And if you want to get some podcast merch, head on over to the Bird Brain Podcast store. All those links are in the bio. You can follow and stay up to date with the podcast as well. And I think that's like the homework. But stay tuned for this conversation. I'm excited to have this guy, an amazing dude, very talented, and you guys will just see what I mean. All right, stay tuned, guys.
Rise above it all. Stay elevated and create that infinity of your you. Of your you.
Guys, what's goody? How are you? How's your day going? How's the holidays winding down? Look, I'm gonna keep reminding you guys I don't know what day it is, just because I don't know what day it is ever at this point. I think 2020 has just been a very long day of the week. I feel like 2020 feels more like a mix between a Wednesday and just like a weird ass Sunday. It's been a long year to say the least, but I hope you guys have people around you, or just have, come across people that are, you guys are just encouraging each other one way or another and supporting one another in the best way possible, because we all need it. And, everybody has their outlet in terms of how they just get through, whether they are helping other people or helping themselves. And as artists, our medium is through creativity, and the blessing in it is like when we get to share that with other people, because that in itself allows connection. My buddy Johnny today, he's a fantastic musician and just an advocate for just like injustices and all the things in between. But more importantly, this dude is very much about, the mental health aspect and taking care of himself, but also just soothing some hearts with his vocals. So without further ado, Johnny, what's good, man?
What's good, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. I'm here. I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful as hell for just those two things alone. But man, I'm on my grind. I'm on my Brooklyn bullshit, as we say.
I'm here for the Brooklyn bullshit. So you're from Brooklyn originally, right?
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Jeez. Okay. That's what's up, man. And how has the end of the year been for you? First off, you could give us a little background about like what you do and like what your specialty is, and I'll fill in the blanks.
Okay. I am a maker of music. I'm a lover and maker of music. I guess music of the soulful kind. I hate, you know this already. I hate boxes, but yeah. I guess like the bio way to go about this is I'm a singer, songwriter, and producer, and I call my stuff like future soul. It's like it encompasses elements of a lot of R&B, but also everything from pop, funk, reggae, salsa, just everything, man.
Yeah. So
I love music.
The funny thing is like you said, future soul, but it's funny. You seem like you have a pretty old soul, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think the soul part definitely, just even referring to it as soul and not just like some R&B or like new wave R&B.
Yeah.
Is what I think I try to tie in the nostalgia in it, because yes, I do have a strong sense of nostalgia in my stuff, but I like mixing. I like mixing the modern and vintage techniques and sounds, and I love new wave synth stuff.
Yeah,
but I also love a good groove and real drums and really funky bass lines and just
Okay. And you what instruments do you play?
I mean, I was a percussionist for a long time, and I know so many bad dudes that I wouldn't even say that. Yeah. I mean, bad in a good way, too. That, I wouldn't call myself a true musician in that sense. But, I played percussion as a musician for a long time, which I don't as much anymore, but I play on a lot of my own stuff. Okay. But, and I played drums for a little bit, and that's definitely my strength in my stuff. But, I mess around on bass, I mess around on keys, but I would not call myself a bassist or a key player.
Got you. So the funny thing about, and if you guys have been listening to the episodes up until this point, you notice that every person I talk to is kind of a badass in their own respects, but they downplay it a lot, to the point you just think that, it's just a leisure thing that they do in their downtime. But as you understood and as you come to understand that every person I've had on this podcast is pretty damn talented, and they usually downplay it. So that's when I step in and I tell you guys what the real deal is. Johnny is not just like this leisure ass artist. Homeboy works hard. He puts in work in terms of his music, and then more importantly, you hear it in his music. You hear it in his voice. You hear it in just everything that he creates and just his angle or his approach to it. And it's dope. My mom, she's actually Johnny and I, we met on a set. How many years ago was that, dude?
That was a minute ago, man.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute. At least 5 or 6 years, at least.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we met on a set 5 or 6 years ago and have been kicking it since. And it's great because I'm on the the left coast, Johnny's back on the East Coast, but we just kept in touch, and the importance of pushing each other along, whether near or far, and just understanding that we're all in this together rings true. And my mom loves Johnny's music, and she's never met Johnny, but she loves his music. The thing about my mom is she loves my friends. That's a fact, though. Shout out to Mama Fred. Mama Fred loves my friends, and she's very supportive. And it's with reason. She, I love my friends, and if I love my friends, she loves them. But in her own respect, Mama Fred, she's a supporter of my homies. And it's easy. I mean, it's great when it's easy to support someone. And Johnny, you are not shy of that. You're a very talented dude, but also too very humble, and very hardworking, which makes you, sometimes I feel like with that combination, you kind of fly under the radar. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not one of those people that's just out there like, hey, look at me. You're like, I'm gonna get this work done. I'm gonna put this out there, and you do what you will with it. But this is what I created.
Totally. I mean, that means a lot to hear, articulated that way. Because that's definitely what I strive to do. I don't want to be. It's just not my style. I don't think it's the way I was raised, and there was a lot of I just come from humble beginnings, and that always resonated with me, and loyalty resonated with me. And I saw how the game worked that I really wanted to be a part of. And I realized at one point it's like, damn, like I'm just gonna have to find my own way because that shit don't rock with me. I can't be that. I can't play that.
Yeah.
And I've learned to play the game of definitely in certain ways, but not. I realize that my strength is to be true to who I am and come correct with that all the time. So that's what I've been committed to, and it's a lot easier said than done. Because yes, there are times that I'm like, damn, I wish I could, break through in this way, or like make this happen that way, or like play this game a little better. But at the end of the day, I do a lot of work. Which we've had these conversations so many times. I do a lot of work to really embrace who I am and do that to the fullest. And the funny thing is that the moments when I have like the most clarity in that.
Mm-hmm.
In my truth and exactly who I am with my creativity, and I achieve that flow through that. That seems to be the stuff that's the most impactful.
Yeah.
With people, I don't even know. Is that a word? Impactful? I feel like I'm
absolutely no. Impactful is definitely a word, bro. Come on now.
See, that's another. So I have a few complexes because, like, I'm not super educated. I never went to school for this stuff. I don't read or write music.
Right.
My theory is on a very basic level.
Yeah.
And it does breed some insecurity, and I've been actually working on a lot of that, especially during quarantine, to reinforce some of that stuff for myself.
Yeah.
I do think it is important, especially at the level I'm at, where like sometimes I do feel capped by
your
anytime
ability.
you feel capped by your ability, you're just like, wait, like I need more knowledge, I need more stuff.
Yeah.
But for a while I was really caught up on the lack of knowledge that I had, and it took some of my mentors to just it's people that I respect greatly to be like, dude, like one day you're gonna realize that you got something that nobody can learn.
Yes.
And you're gonna run with that shit. And I think this has been a really, really tough year for me, like personally too. So I think I had to do some work, and in that work I found a place to really embrace that, and I'm really excited for this new record. It's kind of all about that,
Bro, dude. Well, I mean, before we get to the record, I want to just piggyback on what you said. It's like I think there's a textbook essence in terms of like criteria that you can pick up, and then there's the you part, and the you part is what one makes you stand out, two allows you to navigate and find your own space in the world, because like you is like I don't read music either, and I don't write it. It's kind of daunting, and sometimes it just feels like you said, like you're out of place. But the beauty in that is that here it is, you are doing what you do without that thing, and this is where you are. And it's like that has to be what you carry. Like, yeah, you can always learn something, but look at what you've taught yourself up until this point to be who you are. And that's just who you are. Like, that's your essence. And no one else has that, No one else is ever going to have your essence. You guys can learn the same textbook or whatever, the same method, theories, etc. But no one has your essence. And because you are who you are, this is what you're able to create. And it's all yours. You know what I'm saying? It's literally all yours.
100%. And I think for me, I struggle with that for sometimes because I just felt like it was so cliche. But then, you just realize it's like things are cliche sometimes for a reason, because they're true. And they stand the test of time. Yeah. And it's just, I think nowadays too, it's, there's so much distraction and stimulation and so much pressure with the status quo, so that it's almost harder to be exactly who the fuck you are, instead of all these other things coming at you telling you what to be. I mean, I can't even tell you how many songs are just about that on this record in so many ways. And it's like that conundrum. It's like, really, if you just trust yourself, and like, yes, you need good reference, you need good standards, and you definitely should always be open to growth.
Yes.
But you can't just always be growing. There's going to be time, it's an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But like, as long as you're open to it, that's great. You need that. But and you need the curiosity.
Yes.
But you also, like, you got to slow down, and you got to be compassionate with yourself, and take in those moments, and also, like you said, like, slow down and look back. Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of that. It's like, listen, I'm not crazy. Like, I've done this. Like I've accomplished a lot. Like with even less knowledge, because I'm even more knowledgeable. So it's like you gotta give yourself those props. It's important to give yourself those flowers and remember like who the fuck you are and how the fuck you got here.
Come on now. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm about to giving yourself flowers. I like that phrase too. Is like, give yourself flowers. I think, for you and I both, there's this thing that you're taught growing up of like, don't brag about who you are. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't be so whatever. And a lot of times we mistake confidence. We mistake recognition of our work for being cocky or arrogant and everything. And I've learned, or at least I think I'm learning, there's a distinction between the two. It's like arrogance. You operate through life based off of entitlement. Confidence means that you operate through life based off of your effort and execution. Arrogance.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different vibe, and it's like sometimes you do have to put your nose forward a little bit and recognize, hey, this is who I am. This is what I work for. I should be grateful. What the hell am I working this hard for if I'm not going to speak on it? What the hell am I working this hard for if I'm not here to share it with the world? Yes, it's for myself, but at the same time, okay, what about the rest of the world? Are you going to share this or not? Are you going to let the world get to know who you are? Because they should.
100%. And I think, too, it's like that comes that, like, I love all that, and I agree with it. And I think to add to it is, like, for me, I found that, because I used to feel weird about it. I used to feel like maybe I had to play the game a little more. Yeah. But, like, I always felt more connected to something creative that was purposeful. Yeah. And, sometimes I especially coming from, like, the hip-hop world, I felt like sometimes I was corny.
Yeah, right.
Like, or I just, and I was like, nah, like, and I just learned whether it is perceived as that or not. Like, one, I learned that you can't please everybody. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah. And two, it's like that's my truth. I can't run from that. So like, and even still, I found ways to write catchier things or even like more pop friendly things, but like still really purposeful and really honest and sometimes even heavy hitting. So like when I connected. And I aligned my stuff, my approach to purpose. Yeah. A lot of things, not necessarily got easier, but just, there's more clarity. Yes. And more ability to find confidence, every day. It's just like I'm showing up, and I know why I'm showing up for this. Yeah. Because part of it, yes, is for me, and I do need, certain things like validation, but like not on the same level because I know that I am. I'm doing this for people who will get it, people who resonate, and in particular for me, it's like people who come from where I come from. Yeah. People who are no stranger to hardship. People who face adversity every day, and I want to talk to them, like to be like, yo, like I know this seems crazy, or like chasing dreams seem almost like you're raised to be like it's survival. Yeah. So like. You're taking a risk on something like creative or something like that you're raised to think that's crazy. That's almost selfish, and you're wilding to do that. And it's like, nah, I want people to do more of that from where I'm from, and live to be fulfilled and live to find happiness and find love and not just sustainability. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro. I think sometimes humbleness or being told to stay humble keeps other people from feeling uncomfortable in your light and in your presence. It's like people want to shrink you so they don't have to be blinded by, your whole essence. And again, I had to learn that too, bro. It's been a journey. And one of the things my mom, she gets on me about is like, I was telling my boy Cody the same thing. She was like, you're too damn big to be playing shy. She's like, you're too damn big to try to hide. She's like, you can't, so stop. And true. It is true. And it's like when you look at it in that way of like, if you're not going to speak up for yourself, you cannot expect somebody else to speak up for you first. And, through this journey, through my process, one of the things I had to recognize and realize is like, nobody gave me anything. It's like Isaiah worked for it. And if I can trust that, then it's like, you understand, okay, anywhere I go and anywhere I place my hands and anywhere I step foot,
I'm going to work for mine and I'm going to build what I need to. And that's whether somebody is present or not. And that's whether if it's accepted or received or not, I'm still going to do me. And I think there's such a, there's, like you said, there's a sigh of relief when you just do you, because that's, you're doing exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing. When you're not, running the game or running the script or whatever, or what somebody else thinks you should be, blah, 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 to fit their needs, and you're just doing you. I feel like people just show up, and like those people that show up are about who you are, not who you are pretending to be to, I guess, satiate their ideal. Like I feel like just in society, we're fed from, two different hands in terms of like, be yourself, but it's like, but also don't be yourself.
but also play this game.
Yes.
And I think, that I think a lot of that comes from like bigger, not to get too heavy, but like bigger things. Like, the status quo is definitely controlled a lot by consumerism and capitalism.
Yes.
And not that I don't think capitalism is a terrible thing. I think it's used, heinously sometimes, or a lot of times at this point. But yeah, like anything, it's just too much of anything is, can be a little dangerous. So
yeah.
I think, it's and like anything, it's another cliche thing. It's just like balance is the key.
Yes.
To anything, anything, and like because you got to be informed of the game, especially like in the music industry and entertainment. Like it's like you got to know the beast that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
To play in it, to navigate it, you got to know it.
Yeah.
So you got to stay informed. You got to have good reference. You can't just like be out there walking blind.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does require, a few blind leaps.
Yeah.
And that shit is hard.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy. It is not easy. And it's, like you said, I think when you come from a place of making opportunity versus opportunity being handed to you, you're walking, you have to walk a little bit different. You have to walk a little bit different because you have to walk in who you are, but at the same time, seek components that align with it. And also like, essentially make your own opportunity in a world where it's like, again, either you're given opportunity or you have to find it or you have to make it.
Yeah, it's tough because you have to keep some of that. You got to keep some of that survival shit.
Yeah.
And you got to. It's like, again, it's a balance. You got to make sure that you got enough of that shark still in you. You got enough of that hustler still in you.
Yeah.
To grind and fight and cut through.
Yeah.
But also like not make that everything, anything and everything. You know what I mean? You
right.
gotta still love it or find the love in it. I mean, and I'm not saying that's just what I found for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know for a lot of like-minded, artists, people who actually, are dedicated to the art form and moving it forward and not just like out there. Cause, and I don't even I don't knock that. Like if that's your thing, that's your thing, do it. But that's not what we're doing over here.
That's not what we eating over here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I know we keep leading away from this, but you keep talking about the record. You're bringing up the record. So like, what is it called? Like, can you give us a little bit about what it is and like the inspiration from it, all that good stuff?
Well, the inspiration was kind of just life, and I was gonna release it sooner, under like a different name, and then this year was kind of like a gift, and it allowed me some time, and it wasn't really a great time to drop new material, or just it was I felt like it was a little smarter, and the label I was working with felt it was a little smarter to be a little patient and see what happens.
Okay.
And so I released some singles and had some fun, and actually got to collaborate a little more. So I went back in on it, which was great because I had the opportunity to refine some things and also like just learn about like not overthinking certain things. Like I was tempted to go in on and redo certain songs just out of insecurity, and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving them alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the opportunity to travel, and I went to go work with some homies down in New Orleans, at a studio in New Orleans that I helped put together. And so it was like another home away from home, and I've been to New Orleans a few times for music, and I linked with even some more new talented, because the level of talent there, like player talent and musical talent, is
it's a vibe, man. Yeah, I've never been, but I know like
it's unreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, the city is not itself like everywhere right now. So a lot of people aren't playing, and you know, they want to be on some stuff. So it was cool to actually give some people some opportunities to, you know, come in and be creative. And like, you know, I got a lot of really special homies out there who was so damn good. And so we were able to make some music, which was cool. Actually, I got a bunch of joints like on deck after this album, which is really exciting. But
sick.
But I was able to, you know, get some cool live instrumentation on some added instrumentation on certain things. And so now I feel like I'm like in love with it now, and which is great. Like before, like I felt really good, but I was also like, you know, turning a corner on, like, I don't want to hold on to things too long or for, you know, too much and you know, over obsessed. But I did feel like certain things needed some love, but I was, you know, trying to trust my gut and let it go. But, and who knows, that might not even matter. But, yeah, there we go, over obsessing in the sentence where I said not trying to over obsess. But, yeah, so I think getting a little extra time with it and just thinking about really connecting to the meaning behind it, you know, I was getting to that. Sorry. So it's just about, you know, aligning with purpose and embracing that and embracing myself, embracing, you know, what my upbringing was, and embracing the struggle, embracing all my mistakes. You know, for a long time, I brutalized myself for my mistakes, and you know, it's why I felt like maybe I didn't learn the best from them because I wasn't letting myself. You know, I was just like almost re-traumatizing myself after, you know, trauma that led me to the mistake in the first place. So, you know, and then, you know, also just like dealing with a lot of personal things and really, really getting some real help and doing some real work on myself and going through some more hard stuff. But I guess in a more mature adult way, I went through a really gnarly break. Well, not gnarly, but like a breakup of an 8-year relationship at the top of COVID. And yeah, I put a lot of shit into perspective. And I spent a lot of time with myself and I think healthy time. And I never really done that. And it definitely, of course, helped my creative process, but also helped my, you know, my mind, my heart, my soul, all that good stuff, my body. Yeah. So, so there's a lot of, you know, cover some of that. And it's just real. You know, I've recently, in the last few years, patched up a relationship with my father, and we're, you know, I'm starting to like rebuild that, whatever, you know, that looks like right now. Because, you know, it definitely wasn't a part of my life, a good part of my life. And that has been, you know, tricky in itself. And there's a few songs that cover that. And so it's an emotional one for me, but it's you know, it's like it's telling a heavy story that is, I think, ends triumphantly, and it's through, you know, all the things we just spoke about, that it allows me to end that way. It allows it to end that way. So through like embracing a lot of, you know, the uncertainty, and there's a lot of play on like the gray area. There's a song called The Gray on it, and I realized, you know, later in the process, I had a bunch of different names. So I realized later in the process, you know, in finishing it, that I think that's something that I wanted to play on, the gray. So that is the theme of the title. I have like 3 choices of the title right now, but it's, you know, it's pretty much like the theme I'm going for is like thoughts from the gray, or like songs, feelings from the gray. You know, it's embracing that beauty and uncertainty, and you know, there's you know, the beauty in you know, trusting that nothing is black and white, and the best stuff comes from that gray area. And growth, all like just personally, creatively, like spiritually, mentally, like intellectually, like it's all from the gray area.
Yes, sir. I think the gray area, like you said, is great because it's not one or the other. I think you encompass a little bit of everything when you exist in the gray area. It's like you don't ignore the bad. You don't, you know, completely embrace the good. You know, it's like you take the bits and pieces that work and that mold you into who you are. And it's like you run with that. You know, you run with that and you accept everything for what it is versus, you know, the shaming. And like you said, you know, mistakes, it's like instead of reliving mistakes, you learn from them and you live through them, and it's like it makes you who you are versus like you carrying around like it's some burden. It's like, okay, that was the past. Who am I working to be now? And I think sometimes that's very important to do. It's like, okay, this happened, yes, but am I working to redeem myself to be this person? Do I see what I did, and am I deviating away from that so I can't go back there? And that's, once you make that decision, that conscious choice, and I think on any level, it's like, okay, as long as you're working to be a better person, it's like no one can hold a charge to you. No one can really hold a charge to you in essence. It's like I'm working to be better.
100%. And, I think the gray area is the best way to embrace just showing up. Like, if it's gray, it's not one or the other, so anything can happen. You know what I mean? And like you said, it just allows growth and learning and understanding that, failure is necessary. Like suffering, I'm about to go Buddhist on you.
Come on now.
Suffering is necessary. Suffering is just as necessary as joy and happiness. And, and it's all context, that help us, learn and grow. And I've become this person that's like, I'm obsessed with, at least, learning and growing. And it doesn't have to be at like some kind of pace all the time, but like, I'm curious. I want to stay curious and remain humble and know, and be perfectly fine. Almost love that I am a student of this experience at all times.
Yeah.
That's where and I know that's not everybody's thing, but like, that's where I feel like I am the most me. I am the most happy. I am the best artist I can be. I am the best, friend, son, brother, person, whatever. It's just like, that's where I like, my existence to come from.
Come on now. I'm here for that. So needless to say, you've really been like, during this year, you've been making it a point to really take care of yourself and double down more on, the mental health and emotional health than usual.
Shit, I don't know how anybody couldn't make that a priority this year, to be honest. I mean, if you didn't and you're doing all right, like,
kudos.
You know a secret.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, this year was, aside from my own personal stuff, which was like a whole nother level of shit, like just alone, like the uncertainty that we all deal with collectively, and like, how our government agencies have responded and shown a certain regard for us as the people of this country. It was a weird thing. And then, man, just being in New York City with all this, with all the racial reckoning going on, which was, about damn time, of course. I come from a very, mixed race family, and I'm probably actually one of the lightest people in my family. So I was never far from that, at least in awareness of that struggle. I had my own identity crisis within that, because I felt like I didn't fit in being that, but I also realized I had to own some of the privilege of looking how I look. Yeah. And even understanding that in some ways I had a past, and I passed in ways that were like, that helped.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah, and owning that was, and even in those moments where it was like, I already know what side I'm riding for, but also having to check that and realizing that I am perceived with privilege just based on my looks, even though my experience is different of that who is assumed has privilege, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a, it's always kind of been that way, but with this it being so heightened, and
it's like on steroids. Yeah.
So I was just like, whoa, like this is a complex place, and like understanding, just the walks of life that I understand, and that I've been raised within, and culturally how I was raised, and how that doesn't. It was just almost like this whole like deep thing into the contract with the race, like knowing how I was raised and knowing culturally how I identify, and having to understand and own that I'm just perceived differently by at least half the people that come across me,
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. And it's a wild thing. It's a wild thing.
Damn, dude. Well, I mean, needless to say, you've been doing the work and you've been swimming in the gray area, my guy. And obviously, it's working in your favor and it's paying off, on a grander scale. So I appreciate that, man. So before we go, when can people expect this new record that you've been talking about? Because I'm intrigued. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to have my feelings hurt, but I'm also ready to
there's some fun shit on it. There's some like hype owning of all of this stuff too.
Yeah.
We're looking at March, I think, for the drop, and then I think we're gonna do a single or two up until that.
Okay.
Working on some visuals now for everything, which is really fun and interesting in this time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, man.
Hell yeah, I'm excited too, guys. I'm gonna drop Johnny's his IG profile and his Spotify on the link in the bio, so you guys could get familiar and get acquainted with this dude. And when a new record comes, you're already on the bandwagon and you riding. So yeah, Johnny, thank you for sitting with me today and chatting, bro.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it, man. Like, that's the least I could do, man. I just want to shout out Isaiah, too, for, having some of those, just listening to me through some of those difficult times. And we had some real ass conversations in the last few.
Yeah.
So,
bro,
no doubt, man.
That's what we do, man. It's we all eat. That's my motto, is like, we all eat. And I am how I take care of my friends speaks for what kind of friend that I am. And it's like, how my friends are doing lets me know how I'm doing. So you always got to look out for your people and keep it moving. My friends are suffering. I'm not doing my job. So that's what we do. But yeah, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other as always, and take flight.
Yeah.